Thailand rescue operation. Now, the visuals on your screens are the first visuals from the hospital where the Thai boys are recovering. Just to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest news coming in from Thailand, the visuals on your screens right now are that of the boys in the hospital where they are recovering. 12 boys, all members of the Wild Boar Football Club, who have been rescued from the Tham Luang cave in Chiang Rai province of Thailand. All seen recovering in the hospital in Chiang Rai. The last of the boys was rescued yesterday evening, and they're all now physically safe, out of harm's way, recovering in the hospital in Chiang Rai as we speak. Right, so these are visuals coming to you from the hospital in Chiang Rai, where anxious parents and relatives can be seen waving from outside the room where the 12 boys are recovering as we speak. Some of them have not been able to physically meet their parents, their families, relatives, but they can be seen on their beds inside the hospital room, partitioned by a glass wall that separates them from their anxious relatives, parents, friends. So these are live visuals coming to you from Chiang Rai in Thailand, where the boys can be seen recovering in the hospital. And for joining me on this particular story is my colleague Aisha Sindhu from the WION newsroom. We'll have more updates as we go along, but these are live visuals coming to you from the hospital in Chiang Rai, where the boys are seen recovering. They look hale and hearty, but a big worry for many people around the world is the emotional scar, the mental trauma that these boys have had to undergo since they went missing inside the cave on the 23rd of June. So it's been nearly 18 days inside that cave, and they were brought out safely in the last of the operations yesterday, along with their coach. So 12 boys and their football coach are now safely out of the cave, recovering, as you can see in these visuals now, in the hospital in Chiang Rai. All right, I'm told my colleague Aisha Sindhu is indeed joining us on the phone line. Aisha, we're seeing visuals of these boys recovering in the hospital in Chiang Rai. Now, many people around the world are wondering, what about their mental trauma that they had to undergo for 18 odd days, the emotional scar that this episode may have left on these young minds?
Absolutely. And, Ramesh, the entire procedure to extract these boys has been so systematic, and Thai authorities have been applauded for the way they've carried out the entire process. The initial focus, of course, was on ensuring the physical safety of these 12 boys and their coach in bringing them out of that cave and ensuring that, they were in the best possible physical health to make that arduous journey. But now the focus has shifted as much on their physical well-being as on their mental makeup. You're absolutely right. I mean, to be isolated in a confined space with a lack of oxygen, where for the first 9 days people didn't even know whether they were alive or not, access to food and water and oxygen dwindling very quickly. So it's been an ordeal of a gargantuan size for these young boys, and a number of people have come forward to applaud both their physical strength, they're young, they're footballers, but also the mental makeup that's helped them sort of survive these extremely difficult circumstances. And the Thai authorities have been congratulated for also keeping, the media at bay in many ways. They've only shared the kind of information that was absolutely necessary for them to do so, and for the media to know at that point in time, so that the effort to get them out and to keep them safe stays on track.
Indeed, and if I can just come to you, Aisha, one more time now. As I was mentioning our colleague Siddhant in Chiang Rai a short while ago, some people are calling this Mission Possible, a take on the Hollywood film Mission Impossible, also describing the bunch of boys as the Lucky 13. And this is a happy ending, isn't it, anyway, at the end of the day, that all the 12 boys are safe out from inside the cave, and they are back with their families, if not physically, at least emotionally, they are there with them at this hour.
Indeed, Ramesh, there's no doubt about the fact that this has really been a story of, the collective will winning over the most difficult of circumstances. And this has had a happy ending. The fear always was that either, these kids might have to stay confined in that cave for as long as 4 months, and how quickly things changed, how very swiftly the multi-pronged, multinational effort managed to bring that period of wait down to just 4 days. We saw these boys being brought out in batches, and indeed it turned out to be a mission possible. Now, the interesting thing in all of this is that a lot of people were also talking about the fact that the football coach who was in there with them was initially thought that he might have to face criminal charges for leading these boys astray. But on the contrary, the parents and the families of these children have come forward to say that they actually credit him for maintaining a certain amount of emotional balance between these young boys inside the cave complex through meditative techniques. He did spend a considerable amount of time at a Buddhist monastery, and so there was a peace and a calm that was operating amongst these boys, which perhaps helped them and held them in good stead when they took on this journey from inside the cave to come back out. So what these boys have gone through and what the rescuers have gone through, and we can't of course forget the supreme sacrifice made by one of those volunteers, the Thai Navy SEAL Kunan Saman, who made that supreme sacrifice in trying to get these boys out.
Absolutely. I should do, Sriyan, if you will. I am now joined again on the phone line from Chiang Rai by Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, we're seeing these latest visuals of the boys recovering inside the hospital in Chiang Rai. What are you hearing from the hospital authorities about the well-being of these 12 boys?
Well, it's a heartbreaking visual which you are seeing right now. These are visuals coming and it was released by the Thai government of the boys there in the hospital, and then their parents also meeting. Tearful reunion, but there was a glass wall between them. We went to the hospital today morning and we saw the press conference. We saw the fact that everyone is enthusiastic that these boys will recover soon. But now these results being released shortly, as I told you earlier, that there was a briefing, and after that briefing, the Thai government immediately released those visuals in which the parents were meeting the boys, but through a glass wall, and some of the mothers were also crying. And now it's confirmed the boys at least are in a stable situation, because we saw some of the boys at least they were sitting and responding to what their parents were doing. They were looking at their parents and making certain gestures, which shows and confirms that the boys are in a stable position now. And the fact is that they will be recovering very fast. Early this morning in that briefing, it was confirmed by the medical officials here that the boys are recovering pretty fast. They are recovering without any problems. There were certain issues like the white blood cells in certain boys were pretty high, and one of the boys, it was suspected that he might be having pneumonia, but later on it was confirmed that he hasn't got any pneumonia. But the boys will be kept under a certain kind of quarantine for a pretty long time, because the doctors don't want to take any chances with them. But doctors were very hopeful. They lauded the coach, saying the fact that this coach is the hero of the day. Due to his meditation technique, the boys survived the stressful conditions in that cave and ultimately came out victorious. And then there was this briefing which happened shortly, and after that visuals came up. We know an international team of divers was formed to make sure the boys come out safely. This included Americans and Belgian and UK and Israeli and other divers, and India also provided tech support.
Indeed. I'll ask Aisha and Siddhant to stay on while I bring our viewers up to speed with all the latest news coming in from Chiang Rai. As I was mentioning to you before, these are the latest visuals, the first visuals from inside the hospital in Chiang Rai, Thailand, of the 12 boys seen recovering inside the hospital room with their anxious parents and relatives and friends looking on them from outside the glass partition. Now, if I can come to you, Siddhant, one more time now. Another piece of information trickling in was how the boys were actually extracted from inside the cave. At least one report saying that some of the boys actually slept their way through the extraction process. Were you able to pick up anything on that count?
Well, largely the Thai authorities are still mum, but there were reports that this happened, and there were reports that towards the end of the entire rescue process, one of the pumps also failed just before the last boy was rescued. But by and large, the entire process was safely. It happened, and there wasn't any major issues. But the only major loss was of the former Thai naval SEAL who went to rescue them last week, and he died. He's a national hero in this country right now, as of now. And the focus right now is making sure that the boys not only recover physically but mentally also. There were the Chilean miners who got trapped in a mine a few years ago. They have given a piece of advice saying the boys should right now focus and stay with their family, because these boys are suffering, because these Chilean miners are suffering from long-term depression, and they don't want the same thing to get repeated with the boys. So that is the biggest concern that these boys might suffer mental issues, but through meditation it seems they can recover, because that was the big focus by the Thai medical officials today morning when they briefed the media. And largely today in the city itself there is jubilation, there is excitement. We went across the city and we saw people actually celebrating this moment, because for 2 weeks the city was under doom and gloom. Nobody was interested in any other thing, but the only focus was on making sure that the boys get out of the cave soon. And finally, when the boys were taken out, there was a sense of not only jubilation but excitement. And largely, it's an impressive feat of international cooperation. But because without any international cooperation, this thing would have never happened. The rescue mission would have not been so successful as it has been. Even the neighbors of Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos helped in the entire rescue operation. As I've been telling, that this city is situated as a triangle of Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos, and that is why this is important that neighbors would have helped, and that is why they also proposed. India also gave a proposal to help. The Americans were also here yesterday. We spoke to the spokesperson here of the entire American contingent who had arrived to make sure that the entire rescue operation takes place without any hitch.
Indeed. So as Siddharth and Ayesha were mentioning, these are the latest visuals coming to you from Chiang Rai in Thailand of the boys recovering inside the hospital in Chiang Rai, with the doctors attending on them, describing their condition as good, and that some of the boys may have lost up to 2 kilograms of body weight after their 18-day ordeal inside the Tham Luang cave in Chiang Rai province of Thailand. But the good news is that they are back out of the cave safely, recovering the hospital, and that for all the families and anxious relatives, this is indeed a very happy ending.